Hello comic fans, here's Earl Grey. Fantagraphics has put out a lot of different anthologies in different shapes and formats over the decades. Maybe one series that still stands out, maybe just because of its sheer size, is Hotwire. Volume 1 was published in 2006, and these were really beautiful packages of different styles and genres, like a good anthology should be. And it goes without saying, of course, that not every story is up to my liking, and maybe some stuff that I found not so interesting is fascinating for others, and vice versa. So each and every anthology I've ever read is sort of a mixed bag. So take this maybe as a warning, or maybe just to be curious about new stuff. I think that's basically what anthologies are all about. The main reason why I show you Hotwire here is this cover here, because I discovered Tim Lane with Hotwire, and he belongs to the usual roster, sort of Now, the most recent anthology compilation from Fantagraphics, curated by Eric Reynolds. Now has a kind of group of usual suspects. Tim Lane is in it. Theo Ellsworth has a lot of one-pagers in these books here. And Brian Blomworth, who recently, or last year, put out this amazing book about the discovery or invention of LSD, called Bicycle Day, and this has to be a topic for a not so far future panellogy as well. And a lot of Noah Van Sciver is in our in these nows here, which is great because I always love his stuff. And Everett Glenn here, you will see. I hope I can keep this video as poignant as I can be by picking one story in each of these volumes. I'm pretty sure another guy or girl who has read these anthologies would pick totally different stories. But yeah, it's a bit of my taste here. I guess the first thing that you will recognize with these Now anthologies are the weird covers that balance right there on the edge between disturbing and somehow beautiful. And this cover here is from Rebecca Morgan. My favorite story in this first anthology here was Wall of Shame by our man, Noah Van Sciver. Some kind of autobiographical piece of him coming home to his mother and meeting his crazy younger brother here. And it has a bit of the vibe of the early Woody Allen movies. That's maybe the greatest praise I can give a story. And you see how much story Noah Van Sciver crammed into his few pages here. 15 panels a page. Other creators would have done a whole graphic novel of this incident here that he's telling us and showing us. And it's right there in between this cringy details of his life, and yeah, it's really funny, especially his brother and all his annoying presence. Let's keep it that way. So, and overall, this was a great start for the Now series here. And talking about weirdly disturbing, this is the cover for Volume 2, done by Christian Rex van Minnen. The story that I picked from Volume 2 was done by one Anu Stresta, however you pronounce her or his name, called National Bird. And it's a silent comic monochromatic and these bluish gray tones, about these surveillance camera bird animals observing people in their most private moments. And maybe just because of the times that we are living in, this was really impactful for me. I really like this restrained kind of presentation here, and precise presentation. Maybe some of you think that this is more boring, but I found this really impressive. I don't have any problems to pronounce the creator that I picked from Now 3, because she's a German one. Anna Haifisch shows us a short period in the life of this group of ostriches here. They go by strange names like, or funny names, like Marcel, Minnie, Beak Benny, Mohammed Jr., Holly, J. Carlos, Brooke, Alistair, Hugo, Wilma Kay, Eleanor, and me. So this is told through the perspective of one of these ostriches. And they do what ostriches do. They run around, think about procreation, get eaten. One of them gets eaten, and the rest of them starts again to run around and think about procreation again. It's simple as it is, real fun, totally my kind of humor in a way. Now, Volume 4 has a lot of interesting stories as well, but the most outstanding for me is this piece here by Brian Blommerth, Pray for Pianoland, with original Canadian nun humor. And it's about a nun that wants to sell her bath water. And but later on she wound up in Pianoland, and it's a totally surreal, crazy, weird story, but really fun. Maybe this is my favorite panel with these two teddy bear creature-like characters there. Praying like some angels on a Renaissance painting or so, and the whole color palette and the whole over-the-topness and design of these panels and layouts is really a joy to look at, but it really adds up to not much more than good fun. And what do you want more? Now to Now 5. I think I always say Now to Now, but yeah. So, and this is almost a lecture in fashion history. The asshole with the hat, and here we have, what's his name, Walt Holcomb, talking about his strange fascination for hats, and he gives us a little insight into the history of hats, starting with the old Phoenicians or Greeks, and before that up to recent times. But it's more, in my opinion, a story about aging and having to deal with that, and not to being too much concerned about your outward appearance, about your looks, which is, in my opinion, a great benefit of getting old, that you just don't have to care about your looks as much as you did in your youth. Maybe this sounds sad to you, it's a bit sad, but this is a bit melancholic in a way, and I really like this. There's style here reminds me a lot of Maria Lasnik, or however her name was, an Austrian surrealist painter. She passed away some years ago. She got really old and made real good paintings. But this is not from her, but from one guy called Quark. Okay. And this is maybe the most artsy-fartsy pretentious story that I picked from these nows, but I really like this shivering story done by Amandine Meyer. Maybe she is a German as well, I don't know. This is really an ambiguous story here, and I can't really tell you something about it, but it's makes really effective use of depicting kids in a weird way, and this is always a bit disturbing, but it's really effective in a way, and whatever there happens in these green pastures with exploding heads and kids vanishing into thin air, I don't know, but I really can look at these panels again and again and come up with different kind of solutions. So, yeah. This is really art comics at its best here, in my opinion. Here we have Now Volume 7, and what did I pick? A story done by Kurt Ankeny between December and March. And yeah, here really crazy other stuff and surreal stuff as in all the nows, but I tend to do like these stories that are real stories with a start, middle and finish. When this is achieved just in the run of several pages, that is really great. It's a story about a young woman getting told by her mother who her father actually was, and she wants to discover and meet him. And yeah, you have to read for yourself how this will pan out. But as you can see here, this is done all old school, just with colored pencils, and I like this handcrafted approach, and in a way minimalistic but so rich approach that the story achieves here. And here's eventually the most recent, but hopefully not the last iteration of Now, Volume 8, with a beautiful cover by Al Columbia. And I had to pick The Gigs by the man Everett Glenn. Here it's a great example of one creator trying to cram as much of content and experimentation and sheer fun within the few pages that he got here. Actually, it's a lot of pages that they given him. For good reasons, because this man has to get a contract with Fantagraphics for a real album standalone issue as soon as possible, in my opinion. He has a main motive here, and this is being an artist and being not paid enough to for a decent living. This is a self-portrait of him, and so he has to work as a killer as well. So I hope that this is not as autobiographical as it seems to be. But this story here is really fun, and we have a second character that is not less interesting here, the woman with some kind of backstory. And here we have a group of artists and trying to kill each other pretty soon. A lot of subtext and sub-subtext and meta stuff, and still maintaining a lot of fun and clear. The clear line work always keeps you in the story, but you see the experimentation, the love for the medium, and from Kirby to Hergé, it's everything in it. and it's just really great and worth getting now volume 8 alone. So this was my brief overview, maybe too brief, but I want to make you curious. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.